Hello and welcome to Let's Break Ultima 5 Lazarus, or 10 Oblations to a Malefic Avatar. Lazarus is a fan remake of the classic Ultima 5 Warriors of Destiny. It is almost certainly the best Ultima game since Serpent Isle, and it requires Dungeon Siege 1 to work, hereon referred to as the Lazarus runtime. For this series I am using Lazarus 1.1. This isn't the most recent version, but in my opinion it is the most fun because it has rather a lot of amusing bugs. I will probably be covering some of the 1.2 extensions in a bonus section. In addition, I have the 1.1 Blink patch installed to stop the game from eating itself when we teleport. I also have a custom patch to make wolves behave more sensibly in the player's presence, slinking away from the party rather than trying to take on an entire gang of heavily armoured psychopaths armed with death spells. This patch is available from the IT website if you are curious. Before we can start on the game proper, it is necessary to go through some of its little peculiarities first. First off, the Avatar is a junkie. He's addicted to two main substances: food and potions. Food is probably the most dangerous, since the Avatar is totally unable to kick the habit, and withdrawal would kill him. Worse yet, the other party members will find themselves getting sucked into the habit too, and will also become food users by virtue of being in close proximity to the Avatar. However, it is worth noting that since they weren't heavy users before joining the party, they can recover quite rapidly, and if asked to leave, will, after a brief period of rehabilitation, lose their dependency on food. Also note that in Ultima 6, the Avatar has largely managed to kick and is only an occasional user. By Ultima 7, the entire party is back on the stuff full time. As noted, cold turkey is not an option. If the party runs out of food, they will go into withdrawal. This is extremely unpleasant, as the party members will all scream "I'm starving" and begin to bleed profusely, leading to death within about 15 minutes. The only way to avoid this is to obtain more food, and quickly. This usually presents a problem. The chances are the party will go into withdrawal in the middle of the night or some other time when the shops aren't open. The Avatar will often be forced to steal bread or similar substances in order to stay alive. This is not good for your karma. In theory, each town should have at least one food pusher. However, the oppression has been extremely good at cracking down on vice, and consequently, food is difficult to obtain. In Britain, there are 3 sources, but only one of these is reliable. The provisioner ostensibly makes a living selling various agricultural implements, but this is in fact a front for his drug operation. He sells a highly concentrated form of food, known on the street as trail rations. The provisioner is happy to sell you his wares unless you are unfortunate enough to try and buy from him while his friend is visiting the shop. The presence of a Shadow Lord will also prevent the transaction from going through, and in 1.1 he will refuse to sell you anything at all in the afternoon. The dealer, as Burroughs points out, is never on time. The first inn is the Wayfarer in central Britannia. It is home to a man known as the Cook. Do not attempt to buy food from him. For 3 gold coins he will offer to sell you some food, but in actual fact takes the money and scarpers. Speak instead to Tika, who is pretty reliable. She will also fence other goods for you. The other dealer is Andre at the Blue Boar. For a food dealer, there is a marked lack of stuff. If you speak to him, he will offer you a hard drug cocktail known as chicken in a casket, which unfortunately is intended to be taken intravenously and will not actually satisfy your cravings at all. He won't sell you any proper food at all, and although there are 3 loaves of bread on the counter, he refuses to sell them at any price. Stealing them is not recommended, as he will defend his stash with lethal force. Since there is no prior warning before the party slip into the lethal cold turkey state, be sure to regularly monitor the amount of food the party has in its stash. I try to avoid slipping below 100 hits of food. Food is not the only drug that the party needs. There are a variety of other substances which they will need a hit of from time to time. These are considered soft drugs and, while not strictly legal, are in fairly common usage throughout the population. The most common of these is the yellow potion. The only known dealer in potions is a young man who lives in East Brittany. Your first task is to obtain sufficient money to buy a large stash of food and drugs. If, as is likely, you are skint, you'll have to resort to thievery. This will have a negative effect on your karma though, and karma is pretty important in this game, not least because if you're anything less than perfect, your entire party will lose experience points each time the avatar dies. To offset this, there are a few useful ways of obtaining food in the wild. Slaughter cows in East Brittany. This has several desirable effects. It will give you a large amount of food, it will make the farmer look ridiculous when you ask her about her job, and when all the cows are dead and cut up into bite-sized chunks for later consumption, you'll observe that the field is full of invisible ghost cows whom you will hear mooing the next time you turn up. Bears can also be cut up into bite-sized chunks and eaten, but they will try their best to cut you into bite-sized chunks for later consumption. Pirates and bandits are another option. This kills two birds with one stone because not only do you get their gold, the party will also carve up the pirates into bite-sized chunks for later consumption. There bain't nothing finer than pirate meat. The mantra of cannibalism is yum. If you can't afford to keep up the party's potion habit, you can usually heal the party by making them sleep for around 8 hours. This is enough to fully heal everyone, at least in the early days of the quest. In theory, you can only sleep in the wilderness, but in practice the game is far more lenient. It all hinges on whether there is anyone else around. If not, pretty much anything goes, although the game does seem to have inhibitions against lighting fires upstairs. I guess that was added in 1.2. Downstairs is usually okay, as long as there aren't any witnesses. In addition, the owners don't seem to object to coming home to find 6 strangers lying fast asleep around a campfire in the middle of their living room. The guild hall in Britain is another good one. Just wait for everyone to leave and then set light to the carpet. When awake, each member of the party will twitch and quiver like an animal that's just been shot. Why is unclear. Finally, it is possible to light campfires in the sea or even in the sewer. In both cases, the party will sit down in the water and go to sleep, rising up from the murky depths in the morning like zombies. That breathing is unnecessary for the party to survive may be a beneficial side effect of food. If healing is unnecessary and you just want to pass time, you can press the semicolon key to set the game running 10 times faster and wait for the dawn like Christopher Walken in The Prophecy. This same dialogue also shows your current karma level, which is handy. Note that sleeping will sometimes cause the party to freak out and have this strange trip where the dead king turns up and either makes barbed comments on their performance or blesses them and makes them feel well-armed. This also happens when you die. Given the party's drug dependency, a sensible strategy when starting the game is to get as rich as possible so that you can buy enough food to keep the party from experiencing terminal withdrawal. One strategy is to make your party as hard as nails, since the harder they are, the better they will be at killing things and stealing their valuables. A possible approach to gaining experience points and loot is to pick an otherwise useless town or two, such as Skara Brae or Paws, and act out the Immigrant Song by Led Zeppelin. You will have to spend an enormous amount of money later on to buy back the karma this will cost you, but it can't go lower than 0 anyway. Just don't let the party members die until you're back to at least 75%. Right, now we know enough about the game to stand a snowball's chance in hell at it, it's time to start the anti-walkthrough proper. On this occasion I called my character Godfather Smurf. Other names worth considering include O True King, Daniel Tifiona, it has mythic resonance, or that old standby, Mr. Danby, one of the many art teachers I had at school, since we seemed to get through them like Defense Against the Dark Arts teachers in Harry Potter. It is highly recommended that you collect VPR scrolls throughout the game. To start you off, there is one in a cave on the coast, west of Yolo's home, where the game starts. If you can save the resident wolves from the orcs, so much the better. Having stopped off at Britannia to get food and ideally a warhammer from the provisioner, make your way to Empath Abbey and rope Julia into the party. Be very careful if you arrive before dawn. Under some circumstances, a guard will arrive at breakfast and kill Julia along with many men. This gives you a very narrow window of opportunity to get her to join the party. I suggest you give Julia full plate armour to turn her into Julia of Arc. Give her a scythe as her weapon. When we get her onto the magical shit, you can still keep this as a decorative weapon because it looks very menacing. While you're hiring, pick up Toshi as well. It will make the next bit easier. If you haven't already done so, find Lord Michael and get the grapple from him. This is very quick and easy to do. First, take a very large sledgehammer. Next, keep hitting Lord Michael with it until the grapple falls out. Finally, grab it and run like hell before the lynch mob catches you. Having recruited Toshi as an extra to assist in the mugging, he has now served his purpose. Strip him of all useful belongings, the protection ring in particular, and then kick him out of the party. Do not kill him, or he will simply turn up your doorstep the next time you die.
Farewell, Avatar.
Now go to Serpent's Pass with the grapple, or a blink spell if you're level 3. Go up onto the beautiful snowy bits until you find a large hole in the mountains forming a pit. At the bottom of the pit are approximately 11 glass swords, one of which has the king's name on it. Using the grapple, go down to the pit and gather up the goodies. We will need about 6 of these for the walkthrough, so try to avoid using them unless you can replace them easily. There are a few more scattered about the game. Once you have the swords, go to Cove and find Sarkael the demon. Now, of late I've been taking a pro-demon stance, and I urge you to do the same, particularly if you're playing Daniel Tifiona because he is a demon. Regrettably, we are going to have to top Sarkael. Nothing personal, it's just that when he dies, he will drop his spellbook. Take him out with one of the glass swords and give the spellbook to Yolo. Remove his original spellbook and use Sarkael's instead. It will give Yolo super fireball powers, taking no mana whatsoever. This is extremely useful. Test it out by killing the trolls on the shore of the river. They have a pair of VPR scrolls, a halberd and various other useful or saleable items. Stock up on reagents for the blink spell from the guy in Cove, blood moss and spider silk. Also take the IMC scroll from the healer as a precaution. While you're in the area, meditate at the shrine and then wander down to East Brittany to buy potions, followed by a bedroll from the provisioner in central Britain if you don't already have one. Then make your way down to Yew. Style is of paramount importance. Go into the U jail and find the torture chamber. Lie in wait for your prey until the Inquisitor turns up and smash her using one of the glass swords. She has 300 health points. Take her robe and give this to Yolo. Remove all other armour from him, such as gloves and helmet. Give him swamp boots, and to help counterbalance the loss of the other armour, a spiked gorget and 2 protection rings. The Inquisitor's ring and the one you nicked from Toshi should get you off to a good start. While you're at it, try and obtain a sledgehammer or warhammer of some description. Use this as Yolo's decorative weapon, as a Christ-like figure wielding a f***-off big hammer is, strikingly different. Anyway, after all the violence and bloodshed in you may find it necessary to visit Mynock, armed with about 200 gold coins, if you can afford it. At Mynock there lives a poor bugger from whom you can buy karma. I can't rightly remember if it's 1 gold coin or 2 gold coins per point, but either way it's a bargain. You just need a little patience, as it has to be done point by point. Sadly, in 1.2 he will only sell you up to 15 points of karma, but we'll be able to sort this out, at extortionate cost, once we get the Shrine of Sacrifice back online. In fact, if you are using 1.2 I would hold off visiting the Beggar of Mynock until we need to do Despise later on. When and if you have replenished your karma and stash, make your way to the desert. Heading directly east from Mynock is not recommended, as there is a dead spot in 1.1 which will destroy the program, so you'll have to skirt around it. Probably it would be best to make your way to Kafiristan Pass and then head east. This issue was fixed in 1.2 though. If you are still level 2, you'll need to fix that before we can proceed. You'll need 200 experience points on the avatar. You should be able to get this just by mooching around in the wilderness between Cove and Mynock. If Yolo is getting all the kills, you could lend the fireball spell to the avatar for a bit. When you've got enough experience, you'll need to sleep until the dead king comes and has a little chat with you. In principle, we could complete the game right now, using the blink spell to break into the underworld where Lord British is being held prisoner, without actually confronting any of the Shadow Lords and leaving the king to tidy up the mess himself. However, that would make this a very short series, and besides, until we've finished equipping the party with kick-ass weapons, the underworld will make mincemeat of them. Once you reach the desert, visit the shrine. Talk to Sinner Vral, and finally make your way to the southeastern edge where you can see the edge of Dagger Isle. Using your super blink powers, beam yourself onto the island and visit the shrine here too. Do not, I repeat, do not break the shrine. You'll need it later at the Lyceum, and you can't resurrect it with IMC. Anyway, once you're done, head south, without killing any wolves, and walk towards the sea. When you reach the edge of the land, it's time for ocean travel without instrumentality. Stand on the edge of the shore, cast Blink, and aim at the sea. Lo, the party should be transferred to the deeps. As noted, they have no need to breathe.
Right away.
The party can now quite happily walk to any of the continents, and then teleport themselves back on shore. The only potential problems are if the blink spell malfunctions and crashes, so always save first, and that the party, or sometimes some of the party, will on occasion get stuck at the edges of a continental shelf or something, requiring another blink to bypass the obstruction. Anyway, make your way south from Dagger Isle. Go past Moonglow until you reach the Isle of the Avatar. 1.1 users, make damn sure you've applied the blink patch or the game will go to hell in a handcart very, very quickly. I suggest you visit the Codex to solve the quests of Compression, Honey, and the Desert Shrine, whatever that was. Besides, nothing can quite compare with the sight of YOLO dressed like Jesus demolishing the Codex of Ultimate Wisdom with a sledgehammer. Just don't save afterwards, for goodness sake. Now go back into the sea from whence thee came, and wade your way west until you come to Blackthorn's Island. Beam yourself onto the island, and using 2 glass swords, kill both demons. Again, it's a pity, but once banished to the outer darkness, you will have 2 more wonderful spellbooks. Give one to Julia, and the other to Shamino. In 1.2, this will not be quite so easy, in that the guards actually do protect the castle from intruders, unlike in 1.1, where they just stand around all day eating donuts or something.
Vultures will pick my bones. And here I give me a moment. Going to
Get the money and the spellbooks. Now you have 3 fire mages. If you can, take any spare oppression chainmail with you, as we can sell these off in Britannia for 350 quid each. Now that we've got 3 fireball-wielding maniacs, it's time to flog all the loot we've accumulated, so VPR back to East Brittany and sell them to the potion dealer. Stock up on potions and food as well. Once this be done, make your way back to the Great Desert near Mynock. Sadly, that's all we have time for right now. In the next episode, we'll be assaulting Windermere University, killing all Blackthorn's little friends, and going to hunt for treasure. See you then, and thanks for watching. Anyway, once you're done, give one to Julia, and the other to Shamino, and the other to Shamino. Anyway, make your way south. Anyway, make your south. Anyway. And besides, until we've finished equipping the cart, stealing them is not recommended, as he will defend. Stealing them is not recommended, as he will defend his stash with slinking. The provisioner ostensibly makes a living selling various agricultural implements, but this is in fact a front for his drug operation.